The Department of Education, through the Office of Undersecretary for Administration, DepEd OUA, Information and Communications Technology Service, Educational Technology, ICTS Edtech, invites you to join its first ever international multidisciplinary webinar series in collaboration with the Global Educators Network Association of Teachers of English as a Foreign Language, GenTEFL, Thailand. This 3-day webinar series will gather experts and specialists from different areas of study and from all parts of the globe to equip and empower educators in their areas of specialization, integrated through educational technology. This event is a convergence of resource speakers and expertise to further teachers' ability to answer the challenges of these changing times through topics with educational technology integration. Be updated and save this following days. Solo Educalidad!
Magandang araw, Sir Wilbur po, at your service. Narito ang ETUlay upang gabayan ka sa inyong pag-aaral upang lubos na maunawaan ang iba't ibang paksa o subject. Ang ETUlay ay isang free online tutorial class na pinangungunahan ng ICTS Educational Technology Unit sa pamumuno ni Undersecretary Elaine Del P. Pascua. Ang programang ito ay hindi lamang para sa mga bata, kundi ito rin ay magsisilbing gabay sa mga magulang at mga guro kung paano nila ituturo o gagabayan sa bawat asignatura ang kanilang mga anak o mga estudyante. Sa kasalukuyan, ang self-learning module mula sa rehiyon ng Calabarzon at kilala sa tawag na pivot ang ginagamit sa ating ETUlay online class. Kaya ano pang hinihintay ninyo? Ihanda na ang inyong mga ballpen o lapis, papel o kwaderno at samahan kaming itulay ang pagkatuto para sa bawat batang Pilipino. Sama-sama tayong magtutulungan para malampasan ang mga hamon sa panahong ito. Halina't matuto kasama ang inyong online tutor sa oras na ito.
Hello there, good afternoon everyone. Welcome back to another ETUlay session for your TLE grade 10 subjects. And this is Contact Center Services under ICT strand of TLE. And we've been on the third part of our phone etiquette series. This is the final and the concluding portion or part of phone etiquette discussion that we've been discussing for the last 3 weeks. And I've been happy to be back here, and I wanted to apologize for last week if you are tuning in. If you tuned in last week, my connection suddenly cut me off and I wasn't able to finish my discussion with you. It was a mock call that I think would really help you have an idea about making good impression to your customer. However, we have to move on, and I believe you guys have your learning module to aid you catch on with the discussion. And basically, this is just a supplemental element for your learning. And I'm here to help you understand your learning module better and to let you know the learning module that I'm using for this subject is from SDO Pasig City, and we're grateful for the creators, writers, editors, and all those that are part of the creation of the learning module. It's been so comprehensive for me. It's pretty tight, short, but at the same time, it packs all the information and knowledge that are essential for you to learn, especially in this time where our conversation, our lessons, our face-to-face interaction is way limited. Okay, so without further ado, I'm gonna let jump right in sa ating discussion for this afternoon. It's phone etiquette part 3, but before that, let's have a recap of our lesson last week. So what are the strategies to make good impression? If you were here last week, you pretty much have ideas about these strategies that you have to do to make good impression to your customer. First of all, why we need to create or make that good impression to our customer. Okay, we all know that the industry, the call center industry, and even other businesses out there, their lifeline is the flow, the influx of people that they call customer who advocate or patronize their product or service. So without that good impression, your customer would go away, right? Would go and transact business or make business with other companies, 'di ba? Kaya it's important for us to be able to help our client to retain their customers. And our job as customer service representative in the future is to make that good impression so that they remain doing business with the client that we are serving as well. Okay, so what are the strategies to make good impression? Number one, professional greeting, and we can do that by having good opening skills. Good opening skills is actually going to be provided to you. It's something that is uniform to all of you, your coworkers in that specific account. You have a uniform opening skills that you can somehow adapt to your personality, but the element should be there. Like for example, when I work in a healthcare company in the US, but of course I didn't leave the country because it's a call center here in the Philippines representing healthcare company in the US. Her opening spills is something like this. Um, um, Hello, good morning. This is RJ from ABC Healthcare. How can I help you today? Something like that. It's very simple. It's very short, but it has the element that you need to make a professional greeting where you say hello, you greet your customer, you introduce the company or the department where you are from, or the department you're representing, and at the same time you ask how can you help or how can you serve. So those three elements should be there in your opening spills, because opening spills sets the tone for your entire conversation. At the same time, your customer would know right away if they reach the right department because you already introduced yourself. So that's pretty important when it comes to making good impression, and that is important to make your greetings professional. Okay. Next is smile. This has been like part of our discussions ever since. Okay, the importance of smile. It gives something. It's very powerful when you smile when you speak, because your customer, the people can they they'll know that you're smiling. They'll know it through your voice. And at the same time, there are times where you as an agent in the future may not feel that well that day. Sometimes they're gonna be gloomy days, tired days, and your tendency is to just slack yourself and kind of laid back, and you forget to smile, and your voice would sound heavy when you don't smile during a conversation. But if you smile, your voice would sound upbeat and lively. Okay, at the same time, when you're sad and when you try to smile, even you're sad, your smile itself triggers muscles that triggers transmitters in your facial muscles that help produce, or those transmitters are like endorphin, dopamine, and those neurotransmitters help you feel better. So when you smile, even though you're sad, it's you can't help but feel happy, because that smile triggers those neurotransmitters that make you feel happy. So that's why it's important to smile. At the same time, less stress. When you smile, you fight stress really well. Okay. Next, you have to be willing to find solutions. Whenever you speak with your customer, you have to come up with a solution to the concern or problem that your customer is having at that time. Okay, so sometimes it'll be hard, it will require efforts on your part, it will require you to search for information. Let's say it's not a familiar problem to you, it's not in the database, you need to really find ways. And you don't say no to your customer, even if the problem or the issues presented to you is something out of your expertise, out of your knowledge. You don't say no. Okay, you have to let your customer feel that you are there to solve their issues and problem, and you are there to find solutions if you don't know the solution for them. Okay, that would make them feel that they are valued. And next is focus on the conversation. That one is pretty important because there are so many distractions when you're working in call center. Sometimes the agents next to you speaks so loud. Of course, your customer couldn't hear them because you are using noise canceling microphone, uh, but you can hear them. And your goal is to really, really focus on the conversation you're having with your customer and not on the conversation going on around you. It's something that you have to really overcome over time, because I just remember my personal experience about it. It's really hard at first because you know it's easy for us to get distracted, and we have this pretty short attention span. And sometimes when customers really, that kind of customer that you want to have every day, the customers who are irate, diba? Ayaw natin yun, but we can't help it. That's our job when we work in call center. Um, Kailangan pa rin natin talaga na yung focus natin nasa kanya kahit na ganun yung attitude niya, 'di ba? So, ito ang isa sa mga bagay na alam ko magiging challenge ninyo once you work in a call center. Okay? Maiingay yung katabi nyo. And there's so many things going on around you. But our job is to really focus on the conversation because your customer will know if you are not paying attention to what they're saying. It will be obvious in the way you respond to them. Okay? Next, be polite and lead the call. So that's the strategies that we last strategy that we talked about last week. Be polite and lead a call. Um, yeah, no matter what the type of customers you're having, whether they are irate, kind, ano pa, frustrated, excited because of I don't know, for some reason, their emotions are coming all over. Like I don't know, sometimes their emotions are even those little things, they get so frustrated about little things, especially if they're not too techy. Okay? So yun, sometimes yun yung frustration na maliit na issue lang pero kinakagalit ng ating mga customer. And that's the reason why this strategy is very important. It's not actually a strategy. I guess it's a principle that you should always apply to be kind and polite with all the people around you, not just with your customer. Because if you are not polite, you would basically ruin your purpose, your job as a call center agent or customer service representative. You have to be kind at all times. Even they shout at you, even they abuse you with their words, even if they curse you, you have to be polite and kind. Okay. Next, what are the appropriate responses? So these things will help you um, know how to respond in so many different situations. These are foundational principle when it comes to responding with your customer on the phone. If the first one is pretty easy, you just use customer's name to show that they're valued, that they are recognized, that you know them. You have to let them feel that you are close to them, even though you are half the world apart from each other. 'Di ba? Ganun sa call center. Minsan kausap mo talaga sa kabilang panig ng mundo. 12:00 ng gabi dito, 12:00 ng tanghali sa kanila. So kahit malayo kayo geographically, you have to let them feel that you know them, that the company knows them. So, yun yung isa sa importante. Madali lang yan. Gamitin mo lang yung pangalan niya. Tatanong mo yung pangalan mo. At the very beginning of the call, you're speaking with your customer and you have to know the name because that's the first thing you need to do to verify that you're talking to the right person, their name and date of birth. Most of the time, in most call center companies, you have to really ask for their name and date of birth. And after you know their name and date of birth, use their name as appropriate as possible. Okay? As often as possible, but make sure you use their names appropriately. Okay? Importante yun. Baka naman too much na kada statement ginagamit yung pangalan. Hindi ganun. Appropriately lang. Next, empathy statements to show customers you're on their side. Okay? So when you say to your customer, I'm sorry to hear that. I can really understand where you're coming from, and I see why you're frustrated. Those kind of statements opens up your customers' mind, their heads. Sometimes they're angry. They're so um, parang sarado na yung isip nila. Pero kapag nakita nilang naunawaan mo sila, binubuksan nila yung isip nila and they start to listen to you when you show this empathy statements. I understand where you're coming from. I understand why you're frustrated. Sometimes you could say, um, it's it's really okay for me to really know that you are going through that sometimes, even those things are really out of the context doon sa conversation nyo. Just make sure that they feel that they are validated. Yan yung pinaka-importante when you're speaking with your customers. Of course, to make good impression. Okay, empathy statements. Next is opportunities for the caller to say yes, to put them into a mindset of agreement. So that would open up their heads as well. Kasi, ang tanong kasi, paano mo gagawin yan? Paano ka magbibigay ng opportunity for them to say yes? Ang technique is that you listen attentively, you take notes. While you're taking notes, you focus on what your customer is saying, and then afterwards, you will repeat and ask them if you understand it the way they wanted it to be understood. Yung kanilang sinabi. Kung naunawaan mo sa paraan na gusto nilang maunawaan mo. So you repeat what they said. For example, your customer saying that he's having issues with the way your billers ask for payment. They are too, let's say, bold, or let's say, sometimes billers are arrogant, something like that. So you would say a statement like, I see that you feel frustrated because our billers are kind of arrogant to you. Is that what really upset you, or is there any other thing that upsets you? And then they would agree to you if that's it, and they would not agree to you if it's not what they're talking about. So you have to make sure that you understand what their issues are. You repeat that issue to them and show them that you understand them. Ganon yung gagawin natin. Okay? So nasa mock call natin siya last week, and if we have time, later we would run that back again, yung ating mock call, for you to have an insight or idea about how it's done in a call center. Next is provide reassurance and create a sense of immediacy. This is pretty easy to do. once you know the solution, you know the problem, in an issue or issue of your customer, and then you give them, uh, you devise solution to their problems, to their concern. Sometimes solution is just you're gonna make a ticket, or just gonna make you're gonna um, transfer them to the person who could solve the problem, and you tell that. And how you provide reassurance, you just say, uh, I'm gonna transfer you now to the person who will who can help you better. So the statement now give them the reassurance that you will do that thing that they need to that you need to do for them to solve their issues. And sense of immediacy is created when you state the word now, or when you give a timeline to the solution that you're providing to your customer. Sometimes customer just wanted um, um, proof of payment. Sometimes they just wanted an email confirming their transaction with you. And sometimes they, let's say, an agent that they had spoken before told them that that agent would send them email, but they didn't receive. So right now, that customer calling you angry because she or he didn't receive an email. So the solution that you can provide is you ask your customer, so your are you frustrated, ma'am, because an agent, or you say the name of the agent if your customer told you, uh, are you mad or are you frustrated, ma'am, because Ryan didn't send you the email that you're waiting? And if he says, oh yes, I'm angry because of that, because I don't know if if my payment was accepted or not, or something, whatever reason that they're telling you. And the thing that you can do to provide reassurance is that, so to make sure that your transaction is valid, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send you an email now, and I want you to open your browser and check your email right now. So something like that. There is a reassurance that you're gonna do what you promised to do. At the same time, there's a sense of urgency when you use the word now in your statement, or you give time limit or time. What do you call that? Yes, give time where you're gonna accomplish the solution that you promise. Next is take ownership and make a commitment. That is the same thing, actually. You take ownership of the problem. You don't blame other people for not, or other agents for not accomplishing their job well, but you take ownership of the problem and you solve it um, on your end, to make sure that your customer is impressed again with the service your company is providing. Making commitment, yeah, when you say you're gonna call them back after, or put them on hold for 2 minutes, you make sure you get back to them before 2 minutes. When you say you're gonna give them a call back after an hour, after 2 hours, you make sure that you do what you promise. So that's making commitment. And then demonstrate cooperation in giving a solution. All right. So when it comes to making solution, it's not just there's no such thing as one size fits all in call center. But of course, there are solutions that would be similar to everyone. But make sure that when creating this kind of agreement to an issue your customer is presenting, that they agree to the solution. You have an agreement over what you're going to accomplish, or what actions you're gonna take for you to come up with the resolution that you guys both agree. So dapat alam din yun ng customer mo, and involved sila doon sa solution process. Okay? So lesson for this week, done with a recap that took so much of our time anyway, but that's important. That is the reason why. And then for this quarter for week 5, phone etiquette part 3, Our expectations are identify the steps of transferring the call by constructing a workflow. We're gonna do that later on our post test. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna just rearrange the call flow or the workflow for transferring call. All you're gonna do is to determine the sequence of them according to the procedure that I'm going to give you in this discussion. And then differentiate cold and warm transfer. So there are just two kinds of transfer in a call center, cold and warm transfer. Para lang pag-ibig, may cold at may warm. So alamin natin ano ba yung cold na transfer, ano ba yung warm na transfer. And then acknowledge the advantages of taking notes during a call. So the importance of taking notes while you're having your conversation on the phone. Okay. Next, relate proper documentation and protecting the customer information. So we're going to talk about data privacy, some of the uh, things that you shouldn't take note of, shouldn't write on anything about your customer because that's actually breach of their privacy. Okay. Next, our pre-test for today, and I want you guys to participate with me. You may comment your answer, and I'm gonna wait for your answer. But if you don't feel like it, it's okay. You're just gonna go on with our discussion. So number one, what is the process of relocating an inbound call to another phone or messaging system? Okay, is that a call block? Is that call hold? Is that call queue or call transfer? Okay, call block, call hold, call queue, or call transfer. And so, what is the process of relocating an inbound call to another phone or messaging system? That is call transfer. Okay, next, which type of call transfer is characterized by transferring the call to another agent without speaking to new agent first? Okay? Hindi mo na in-inform, hindi mo na kinausap na mag-transfer ka sa isang agent o sa isang department na hindi mo na kinausap or they have no idea about the transfer that they are going to receive. Okay? Anong tawag doon? Is that warm transfer or cold transfer? So sa pag-ibig, hindi mo na alam yung ginagawa ng partner mo. Okay? So is that cold or warm? Okay? Pag hindi alam, that is cold transfer. How about the agent speaks to the new agent first before the call is transferred? This refers to which type of call transfer. Okay? Kung yung isa cold kanina, so this basically is warm transfer. Kapag informed yung agent na pagta-transferan mo o yung department na paglalagyan mo ng tawag. Okay? Next, the following comprises the three C's of accurate documentation except. Okay? Alin lang daw yung hindi kasama dito sa 3 C's ng accurate documentation? Is that A, clear, B, complete, C, concise, or D, cryptic? And I know you guys would tell me that the only odd one here is letter D, right? It's letter D. Next, what is the process of taking notes on the details during a call? Habang may tawag, ano daw yung process na yon na nagte-take note ka? Okay, so in a call center, you aren't allowed to take ball pen. Usually, they don't allow you to take ball pen and paper on the production floor because that would jeopardize their security or yes, their protection of their customers' information. So you aren't allowed to take notes on physical paper. You can take notes using your system provided to you by your company. Okay, software that they'll provide you to take notes on and for you to make annotation on the customer's account and transaction. Okay, so is that confirmation or B, documentation or C, orientation or D, preparation? What is that? Okay, that is documentation. All right, next. So let's discuss about transferring a call. Call transfer is a process of relocating an inbound call to another phone or messaging system. This is frequently done using a call transfer button or by using software. Okay, so this is gonna be I don't know. It's going to be different from company to company, the way they transfer calls. Sometimes it's just on the telephone, it's a via, iba-iba yung system nila. But for sure, it's gonna be part of your training once you're in the call center. Kaya walang specific way of transferring a call. It will be part of your training because yun nga, iba-iba siya sa kada company to company. Merong pagkakapareho, pero for sure, meron pa ring differences yan sa paano mag-transfer ng mga tawag. Okay? And there are three reasons why we have to transfer a call. Yung una, the caller reached the wrong department. Okay, tumawag si customer, ginamit niya lang yung telephone number that he or she found on a website, and pagtawag, napadpad siya sa maling department. But still, it's the right company because doon siya pumunta sa website at nandun yung general phone number of the company. At then, ita-transfer mo siya kasi nasa maling department, or the issues that your customer is raising is not cannot be solved in your department. And then yung pangalawang reason is another agent or department can answer the caller's concern better than you are. So let's say you're a newbie and you don't know how to address that particular issue, and you put the customer on hold and you were asking your coworkers to help you with that customer, and your coworkers say, transfer the customer to me, I'm gonna help you out with that. Okay, so that's the time that you're going to transfer your caller. That's one of the reasons why you will transfer a caller to your to other agent, kasi mas alam nilang isolve yung issue na yun. Okay? Yung pangatlo is the agent doesn't have the authority to decide on the issue. Okay? So usually nangyari to kapag ita-transfer mo sila, yung customer, let's say, a customer ita-transfer mo sa yung supervisor or sa manager or sa ibang department na merong hawak noong no may authority over that kind of concern and or issue. Okay? Next, paano natin ita-transfer yung tawag? Ito yung fundamentals. Ibig sabihin, applicable to sa kahit saang call center company. Meron lang na hindi to ginagawa, yung ilan dito. Kasi napupunta sila doon sa tinatawag na cold transfer. Pero kung warm transfer yung gagawin natin, these things are the things that you need to go through before transferring a call or doing a warm transfer. So this is about warm transfer. So yung una, explain why you need to transfer a call. Yun yung una. Okay? So may tatlong dahilan. Ipaliwanag mo muna kung ano yung bakit mo sila ita-transfer. Pangalawa, give your information first. Dapat alam nila yung information mo. Because why? Okay? Because there is a chance that you would lose connection or that your caller will be disconnected. And once that happens, your customer don't know or customer doesn't know who he'd or she'd spoken with kanina bago nawala yung tawag, and it's really hard for her because she's going to repeat the process again. So you have to give your information for them to feel that you are committed on accomplishing. You're committed, and you're not just transferring her because you don't want to deal with him, but you're transferring him for his sake, for his benefits. So yun yung dahilan. You have to give your information para accountable ka. Okay? Ibigay mo yung minsan employee number mo pa and then your name so that they can pwede sila magreklamo, sabi yung pangalan mo kapag nireklamo ka. So that shows that you are accountable over the transfer of the call. So give your extension number and name to the caller just in case the call got disconnected. So yung extension number, huwag kakalimutan para kapag ka naputol, alam niya, sa iyo pa rin siya babalik. Okay? Next, inform the caller of the department or the name of the person you are transferring to. Ito yung warm transfer again. Di ba? Tawagan mo muna o kausapin mo muna kung katabi mo lang yung agent, kausapin mo muna na ita-transfer mo sa kanya yung tawag. Okay? Kung sa ibang department, i-ring mo muna, i-put on hold mo yung customer na kausap mo. Ask, of course, is it okay if I put you on hold? Or are you willing to, um, would you mind holding for 2 minutes? Ask mo muna yung question na yun sa yung customer before. Pagtapos, i-mute mo muna, tapos tawagan mo yung other department, inform them about the call transfer that you are going to do at sila yung makaka-receive. So, habang ginagawa mo yun, inform mo na rin anong issue, bigay mo na rin lahat ng information na nakuha mo para hindi na uulitin ng customer. Okay? So, yun. You should tell the caller the details where you are transferring him or her together with extension number. Okay? So, pagbalik mo, inform mo na rin yung iyong customer kung kanino mo sila ita-transfer para alam na nila yung name and then yung extension number so that again for the same reason pag na-disconnect pwede silang maka-connect again and hindi na nila kailangang ulitin yung process. Okay? That's going to be frustrating to your customer if they would have to repeat the process over and over again. Okay? That's the reason why we provide our name, our extension number, and sometimes employee number. Okay? Next, ask permission to initiate the transfer. So before transferring your customer, they have to, you have to let them feel that they're in control of the call, of the situation. But of course, you are the one leading the call. You are in control of it, but give them that sense of control. It means that you cannot transfer them without their approval. So ask permission to initiate the transfer. Sometimes the caller doesn't want to be transferred. Okay, find out why. It could be simply because they are on a payphone, their phone's battery is almost drained, or their main reasons to avoid explaining again to another agent his or her concern. Okay, kapag ayaw naman nila magpa-transfer because of that and you really have to transfer them, the thing that you can do with that, let's say nasa payphone siya, is give him a call back. Promise him, ask for his or her telephone number kung meron siya sa bahay, or give him or her a call back kapag nakauwi na siya sa bahay. Okay? Para hindi na lang siya yung tatawag kapag nasa payphone siya or lowbat yung battery niya. Ask your customer to charge it because you really have to transfer her to the right department who could help her better. So, dapat explain mo yun ng maayos. And then, ayun, kung ayaw naman lang mag-explain, of course, pwede mo sabihin na introduce na kita. I've already introduced you to the agent who would handle your concern. And you don't have to repeat all the things that you said to me. You just have to introduce yourself a bit and then you go and he knows what to do, something like that. So, very reassuring that yan sa ating mga customer. Okay, wait for an answer. Once you ask permission, make sure your customer answered that you can go ahead and transfer the call. So don't just blindly transfer the call as soon as you hear other line rings. You have to wait for another person to answer for you to explain the caller's concern. Will give the next agent a heads up and prepare for the callers. So hello from Luigi Soriano Perez, good afternoon. And Divine Grace Bernaldez, good afternoon po. And welcome sa ETUlay session ng contact center services. And we're discussing steps on transferring call and basically phone etiquette. This is part 3 of the phone etiquette discussion that we've been having dito sa ETUlay session. Okay? Good afternoon from Aliyah Ishame R. Senisal. How are you? Okay. Yan. So, nasa na tayo? Nalito na ako tuloy. Yeah, so you have to wait for your customer to say yes before you transfer the call or agree for the transfer. And right when you are there and transfer is called is done, rather, um, you can let go now. Okay. Next is make an introduction. So before transferring the customer, okay, you have to introduce, again, nasabi ko naman na kanina, you have to introduce who's the agent who's gonna handle the call. Okay, after you transfer, who's the agent who's gonna handle the issue of the customer. So thank the caller for his or her patience for waiting and ask if you could do anything else before making the transfer. It would help if you could give the first or last name of the person the caller is being transferred to. Okay? So yan, dapat alam niya na agad kung kanino mo siya dadalhin, anong department yun, anong pangalan ng agent. And yun, extension number, huwag kakalimutan ibigay yung extension number kasi again, baka ma-disconnect at uulitin na naman ni customer. And overall, madidisatisfy siya, and the impression that we're trying to make, the good impression that we're trying to create would be gone like a bubble, 'di ba? Kapag ginawa natin 'yan. So, or kapag kailangan pa nilang ulitin again ang process that they gone through dahil lang nawala sila. Okay? O na-disconnect sila. And last is complete the transfer. To complete the transfer, connect the caller to other agent or department, hang up the phone, or disconnect your headset to end your connection. Okay, sometimes you just have to click a key on the telephone pad, and then the call is end for you, and going on na doon sa pinag-transferan mo. So phone systems can be complicated, so be sure to confirm how you should properly disconnect from the call. Okay, that's going to be part of your training. Okay, once you got in a call center company. Okay, so types of call transfer, there are two types. So call transfer, also called blind transfer, transferring the call to another agent without speaking to new agent. So ano po pwede gawin in case ayaw ng customer na magpa-transfer, lalo na kapag ilang beses nang nag-drop ang call niya? Wow, so this is pretty heavy. Mahirap to ah. Ano pong gagawin in case ayaw ng customer na magpa-transfer, lalo na kapag ilang beses nang na-drop ang call niya? Well, I haven't experienced that one, but especially if the issues really couldn't be resolved with your department, it's inevitable to transfer him or her. You really have to explain, once they understand the reason why the transfer should be made, for sure they would allow you to transfer them. But in case where the call just, yan, ilang beses na na-drop ang call niya, I think there are certain issues with the connection, the line. You have to go through those issues that might not be within the company's end. Let's say connection niya yung may problema na each time tina-transfer na lost connection. Or sometimes naman mahaba yung call queue. Dahil ita-transfer mo siya, mahaba yung call queue, matagal siya naghihintay, tapos naiinip siya. And then, yun, kaya nada-drop yung call. Minsan sa kanilang end yun. And yeah, we just have to really stick with the process of the company that we're representing. If we really couldn't handle the issue and concern, they say they landed into the wrong department, and we really have to transfer them. Really can we really can't do anything about that but to really transfer them. It depends on how we really communicate the reason to them. Okay, so I don't know if I answered that correctly. Okay, so number 2, warm transfer. The agent speaks to the new agent first before the call is transferred. Yung call transfer, actually, this is done. Sometimes it's not sometimes. We do this actually, but we make sure that we have written enough notes on the customer's account before transferring them. Okay, so that when the agent would receive the transfer, just open the account, there are notes about the transaction. The ano yun, yung bagay na dapat lang natin iwasan. Thing that we should avoid is that we write notes or comments doon sa account ng ating customer tapos hindi maintindihan o magulo yung ating paglalagay ng notes. But there are codes actually kasi hangga't maaari, maiksi lang dapat yung notes na sinusulat natin. So sometimes yun, napansin natin to si Sir Logi, Soriano Perez, ginamit niya yung CX, that means customer. Okay? So sometimes may mga ganun, may mga code tayo na malalaman natin or ituturo sa atin sa ating training kapag nasa call center na tayo. Okay? So yun. So warm transfer again, ito yung alam nung pagta-transferan mo na magta-transfer ka sa kanya ng customer, alam niya yung pangalan, alam niya yung issues, nasabi mo lahat. Okay? Next, ayan. So documentation. Documentation in BPO industry means taking notes on the details during a call. The methods being used depends on the policy of each company. So iba-iba ang paraan. Sometimes they want notes that are really let's say extensive, mahaba yung notes. Pero sa pinagtrabahuan ko na call center, code lang. 'Di ba yung prescription, instead of writing prescription, you just write RX. Bawa no RX, ganun lang. O kaya with RX, no DX. So that means RX means prescription, DX means diagnosis. So something like that. So there are certain ways the company that you're gonna apply or that you're gonna work in the future use for them to take notes. So dapat alam mo kung paano yan. It lets the company to keep track of every transaction and interaction that the customer may have had with the company. With this, the agents would know how to deal with the matter based on the previous transactions and services provided to the caller. Ayun. So yun. Kaya pwede yung call transfer na walang info, walang heads up, but make sure there is proper documentation doon sa account ng customer so that when the next agent that would handle the call would be informed of what's going on so that hindi na uulit-ulitin ng customer yung proseso na pinagdaanan niya. Hindi na siya mag-explain ulit. Ano daw mas maganda? Cold or warm transfer? Of course, mas magandang warm transfer, but because of the industry, na kailangan mag-produce, productivity, kinakount yung number na tawag na gagawin mo kaysa gawin mo yon. Sometimes it's an industry practice that you just have to utilize documentation so that you can transfer the call without informing the agent or the department who would receive the call. Okay? So, mas maganda syempre ang warm transfer because that's professional. Pero sa industry practice, tingnan natin kung ano yung practice doon sa company natin and we should apply that. But for our knowledge, of course, kapag nagpa-practice tayo ng sarili nating office or kung yun yung proseso sa company natin, mas maganda pa rin ang warm transfer. Okay? Next. Hello po. Hello, good morning from Mary Rose National. Okay. All right. So this is the last part. So the 3 C's of accurate documentation. Just remember these 3 C's kapag nagda-document: clear, concise, and complete. So kung ano yung information or ano yung issue, let's say, sa amin kasi nung nagtrabaho sa call center, pa-process kami ng mga order ng durable medical equipment and we call insurance, we call doctors, we ask for prescription. Usually, kapag kulang kasi yung document, hindi siya hindi ma-complete yung order because of lacking document. So, ang ginagawa namin doon, nag-take note kami kasi possible na hindi namin matapos yung account or yung order sa isang upuan lang. Pwedeng kinabukasan pa. So it's important for you to document all of the things that you've done with that account so that the next day that you're going to continue processing that order, you know where you left off. And at the same time, if other agent would continue processing that order, alam na niya kung paano niya umpisahan kung ano yung kulang dun sa document na ng customer mo. So it has to be clear, concise, and complete. Celestine Joy de Los Santos, yes, good afternoon sa'yo. Hello po, good afternoon. All right, so let's have this arranged according to chronological order, according to the right sequence of transferring call based on sa ating pinag-usapan. So the first thing that we have to do, what number is number 1? Okay, tingnan natin sa mga comment. What number is number 1? So I'm going to give you this one, and I hope you guys would answer in the comment section below. So the first thing you have to do when the call is to be transferred or need to be transferred, the first thing you're going to do is to explain why you need to transfer the call. After that, ano yung number 2? Okay, alin yung number 2? You have to give your information to your customer. Explain why you need to transfer the call, then give your information, your name and extension number. Next step. Okay, once you give the information, you ask permission to initiate the transfer. Okay, ask permission to initiate the transfer. Next, when you ask permission, you transfer ba right away? Hindi pa, di ba? Wait for an answer. Okay? Wait for an answer. Next, kapag sumagot na siya, make introduction. Okay? Dapat introduce mo siya doon sa pagta-transfer mo. So this is about warm transfer. Okay, introduce mo yung customer mo doon sa agent or doon sa department na mag-handle ng tawag. So, make introduction. And then, the last one is complete the transfer. Okay? So, yeah. So, that's gonna be it for today session for the ETUlay Contact Center Services, TLE Grade 10 students. Thank you so much for having me this afternoon. I'm so grateful for you guys who keep on tuning in dito sa ating mga ETUlay sessions sa TLE Extended every Friday. You can catch me every Friday here 2:20 in the afternoon. Ayan, so don't go away. Meron pang mga sessions later on.
Sigurado ako na marami ka na namang natutuhan sa ating ETUlay tutorial session ngayong araw. Tandaan, ito ay hindi lamang para sa ating mga mag-aaral, kundi pati rin sa ating mga minamahal na guro at mga magulang na kaagapay natin para maituloy ang pagkatuto sa kabila ng nararanasang pandemya. Patuloy ding sumubaybay sa DepEd TV para sa mga araling ginawang video episodes. Mapapanood ito mula Lunes hanggang Sabado, alas 7 ng umaga hanggang alas 7 ng gabi sa inyong mga telebisyon. Abangan sa Lunes mula 1:00 ng tanghali ang iba pang aralin sa ating ETUlay free online tutorial session sa Science. I-like and subscribe at manatiling nakasubaybay sa ating ETUlay tutorial session sa DepEd Edtech Unit FB page at Educational Technology Unit channel sa YouTube at sa DepEd Tayo at DepEd Philippines social media accounts. Paalam!